are, next day, continuing the build of the workbench chair. Here I'm going through and selecting the boards for the base part, which is about 350 on each side of the hex. Here I'm cutting them with their angles to the required size to form the base. So here I've just marked, I'm now starting to cut the boards to the correct length, making sure the angle's in the right spot and cutting them accordingly on the drop saw. Having a quick check of the alignment of the blade, I suspected it wasn't cutting straight. Now I'm starting to drill the holes in the bigger hex, the base piece. So I decided to use dowels to join everything, as it's a stronger join and provides a bit more positive connection. Now I'm starting to glue the two halves together. So I'm doing it as two halves, then I'm going to square the ends and then glue it as a complete unit later in the video. The reason I did this is because I did the cuts as best as I could. The miter saw unfortunately had a minor squaring error on it. Did my best to correct it, couldn't clean the cups up as much as I'd like to. That's the joys of using a public maker space when you don't have to saw yourself. is clamping it to try and pull everything together and get the joints closed up as best as I could. Good old ratchet straps come in handy there. So now I'm cutting the pieces to form the top of the base. So this is what the swivel plate goes onto. Here I'm checking to see if my initial measurement in my design will allow me to mount the swivel plate. Obviously I'm checking it here, found out that it is actually a bit on the big side, so I'm going back to the drop saw and recutting the pieces down to length. So I'm checking it again, still a little too big, and back to the drop saw. Checking the fitment, spot on, exactly where I want it. Now, drilling all the dowel holes to start gluing it together like I did with the bigger piece, which is, as you can see, is still strapped up, drying. Here I'm starting to glue the top piece again. I'm going to glue it as two halves, and that's pretty much where this video will end, as after I finish gluing the two halves. That was near the end of the day there, and there wasn't much more else I could do. I do actually end up putting the bigger base as a complete hex, and we'll see that later on in the video. Yeah, I was having a bit of a hard time trying to line this one up because the dowel jig slipped on me, so I had to try and force it together. So here I'm putting the ratchet strap around. This one in particular is because it had the difficult joint, so I'm going to just try and use this plus the blocks I'm using there to pull it all together and minimize the gaps. Like I said again, the miter saw wasn't exactly cutting square, so they're not exactly perfectly mating joints, much to my chagrin. So here I'm squaring the ends of the bigger pieces. Easy way I'm doing it is just running it through the table saw, so I know that the edge that's running along the rip barrier there is the edge that's squaring up to. I do it with both pieces. I then drill and dowel and glue, and then ratchet strap the entire thing together. Of course, I clean the ends up completely on the belt sander. So here I'm gluing the two halves of the bigger part of the base together. So first I drill the dowel holes. I have to get that one a little bit more of a clean with the belt sander. And now the glue. Okay, so this will be dry by the time I get back the next day. In the next video, we'll see how the build is progressing, and also I'll start to form the pieces that form the actual main chair itself. The image in the bottom left will be updated to show the full chair render and showing all the extra parts. See you next time.